Hello, this is Ashley Crooks, and today in this presentation I'll be comparing my highest quality study with my lowest quality one from my research paper. This comparison is done in order to figure out what is good science and what could be considered bad science. To be honest, it was difficult for me to decide which study was the lowest quality and which was the highest, mainly because when I chose the studies, my goal was to pick the best ones possible. However, I chose the studies I thought I would fit the criteria. This first slide is simply the citations from the articles used. The first study, we'll call it Study A, was the one I thought was higher quality. It was the relationship between sleep and weight in a sample of adolescents. The second one, Study B, considered lower quality in comparison, was sleep an important factor in stress health models. The purpose of Study A is to look at the ties between sleep and weight in adolescents. This is done by looking at energy intake and output, depression, diet, and other demographics. The purpose of Study B is to look at the negative effects of poor sleep and stress on health, overall health. They look at daytime sleepiness, stress, and poor sleep quality. Study A's design was cross-sectional study using clinical testing, 3 sleep characteristics recorded through self-reports, dietary monitoring, accelerometers, and analysis. Study B's design was a convenience-based sample, surveying and questionnaires examined by a review board, self-report methods on sleep quality and stress using specific tests. Study A's findings were as follows. For high school girls, they found lower body fat with more sleep. There were little differences found for boys. As for middle school boys and girls, a lack of sleep was found as a risk for early obesity. Study B's findings showed statistical correlation between high stress and poor health. Daytime sleepiness and sleep quality correlated with health illness tests. Poor sleep, poorer health, and vice versa. Internal validity is determined by how well a study is done and how it adjusts for confounding variables as well. For Study A, there was a detailed monitoring of diet, activity levels, and depression analysis. Potential confounders addressed and efforts were made to avoid them. Detailed analysis of diet, activity level, sleep, and even depression data was collected in order to accurately address nearly every possible variable that would play a role in this study on sleep. Addressing and prevention of confounders means higher levels of internal validity. For Study B, self-report can be fairly unreliable. It was based on feelings and opinions of subjects instead of data that could be tested or examined. Convenience samples usually create limits for a study as well as ethnic limitations. Other monitoring was used, but mostly surveys were given. The possibility of confounding variables is higher with surveying and self-report because there could be other factors that wouldn't be addressed unless more in-depth study was done. External validity is basically how generalizable a study's results are past just the study population. So for Study A, had a higher generalizability to population outside the study group, at least for specific age group. It was limited somewhat due to self-report in part of study and population. The study was done specifically on adolescents, which is needed in the field of study due to lack of research done on the age group. Boys and girls in both middle and high school were analyzed. As for Study B, a survey of college students alone limits generalizability because stress levels would be different for students than other groups. Having a wide range of ages limits the focus on a specific group for study. A convenience sample using a survey decreases validity because of possible subjectivity of data. As for future research for Study A, more examination should be done on sleep patterns in adolescents due to correlations with obesity and overweight issues. Metabolic hormones and other parts of the diet should be examined to look for impacts on sleep. Future research on all aspects of the study would be beneficial. For Study B, future studies need to look at all influences on poor sleep and the impact quality and quantity. Research should examine sleep and stress factors simultaneously to compare impact. This completes my comparison of what I consider the highest and lowest quality studies in my paper. Thank you for listening.